My name is Dorris Ellis Robinson. I am from Lexington, Mississippi. I am a daughter of the South and a daughter of Ethel, whom I like to say I'm Ethel's daughter. And Ethel gave me an opportunity to become the woman I am today. And so I'm Ethel's daughter. I was raised in a family with my mom, and my grandfather was the influencer. And he wanted all of his grandchildren to be raised with a purpose. And he would only allow us to play with children who had a purpose. So if I was going to bring you home with me as a friend, before we walked that mile from the bus, which we would have gathered from the school to get there, we would have had to come up with a purpose. And so I would say his insistence that I had a purpose was my first opportunity to start planning, to figure out how to tell a story and how it should be done. And then we could go play. So after Papa would do his interview and he was satisfied with the story that was told, we could go out and play. And life was good. Of course, he had to know who your family was, who was your mom, who was your dad, who were your people. And if he could verify in his mind that your people were good people, that his grandchild could play with you. And while that would be going on, my dad would be in the fields plowing, saying, "Get up, shine." That was the name of the mule. And we would have many opportunities to engage in country life. And that's where I come from. I'm from the country. You know, I paid attention to what was happening in the news. And my grandfather, again, was the one who would buy the newspapers so that we could read the news together. And my mother was an activist. She really wanted African Americans to have the right to vote. She would participate in the boycotts. She would go to the county civil rights meetings downtown at night after work, and she would always allow me to go with them. And so when Fannie Lou Hamer and Robert Clark, who was my seventh grade teacher, they would have meetings at the Freedom Democratic Party office. The office was really a part of a cafe where my friend father owned. And so we would have the meetings there. And Mama allowed me to go to those meetings. And with those meetings, she decided that she would allow me to work after school. So instead of coming directly home from school, I was able to go to the meetings and get prepared. So Fannie Lou Hamer asked me to get the agendas prepared. And what my role was at that time was to mimeograph the copies of the agenda and to be in the meetings to just know what was going on and allow me to participate. And I always tell people you can only do things that your parents allow you to do. And so my mom was the one who said that yes, I could go. And again, my dad wasn't concerned about it too much. But my grandfather would listen to my mom's stories, and he knew the life because he would talk about what would happen to him, what had happened to him. And so Fannie Lou Hamer, I guess she somehow saw some value in me. And what she did was when Martin Luther King was coming to town, my grandfather was asked to, my mom asked my grandfather if he would go and be one of the old men who would lead the march. And Papa didn't tell her yes immediately, but he kept working. She kept working with him, and finally he said yes. And we were in the fields, because remember, we were in the country, we were raising our own crops. And so Papa put down his mule and went and took a bath, got out his overalls, took a bath, put on his church suit, and he went down and got in front of that line. And he said he did it because he was doing it for me and the other young people, because he knew that we needed a better future than he had. And so Dr. King is in town. The Lexington Advertiser editor had put him up at her house, at her guest house, and the white folk didn't like that at all. So they decided to boycott her newspaper. And she finally went under because of that. But she did it. And so we had to have a place for Dr. King to meet, and that was at Saints Junior College. That was a college that had been funded and still funded by the Church of God in Christ, which was the church that I was affiliated with as a child. That was my family's church. My grandfather's name is on the cornerstone of that church. So we were asked if we had the uniforms were black skirts or black pants for guys, white blouse. We'd have 3/4 length sleeves for the blouses, and a black bow tie. And so I had that attire because I sang in the choir at school. And so I got to my post, and I got to the church. I mean, to Saints Junior College, and let me back up. It is good to have something that's owned by black folk, because then you have control over what you do with it. And so we were there, and I was assigned to serve at the rear of the room. Fannie Lou Hamer came and got me from the rear of the room and told me I needed to be at the head table. And, I just said, yes, ma'am. And so I went to the head table to serve, and I was serving all of the dignitaries. And with that serving of the dignitaries, of course, Dr. King was there. And when I got to him, he took note of me. I don't know whether she had given him a word about me or anything, but he turned around from his seat all the way around and held both of my hands and asked me what did I want to do with my life. And of course, I'm trying to think about an appropriate statement to make my family proud, that I had said the right thing. And he kept holding my hand. He said, well, whatever you do something for the people. And obviously, maybe he thought I wasn't really attentive. There were a lot of people in the room. And so he said it 4 times. He said, whatever you do something for the people. 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 And of course, that connected with my grandfather's message of having a purpose, okay? And it connected with my mother's desire and her active relationship with the residents and citizens of the community. And so between the 3 of them, I have been on a mission to do something for the people. And my grandfather would say, when you do something, I'm going to turn over in my grave. And I said, oh my God, I wonder, has he turned at all? And so I don't know whether Papa has turned or not. And I don't know whether Dr. King is satisfied with what I've tried to do for the people. But it had always been in my heart and in my mind to do it. And it goes back when I was a kid, we had to have a Bible verse. And my Bible verse was, blessed are the pure in heart, so they shall see God. And I've tried my best to do what I do for the people and for my family, and do it with a pure heart, so that the love could illuminate and the little light that I have within me would shine. Because who I am is from that little village in Mississippi. The people who touched me, the people who told me they were preparing me to go anywhere in the world and to be successful. And I have that foundation, and I'm grateful to each of those individuals. My mom, who opened doors, my dad, who was not restricted, and my grandfather, who was encouraging and showing me a light so that I could have the courage to go and make things happen. Now, when I was a little girl, I didn't have much courage. Now, I would learn my little poems, and I remember Mrs. Fry, Mary Fry, she would say, get on your stage, set a poem, Doris. And the very first time, I just had stage shock. I just couldn't do anything. And my sisters and brothers, who were, 8, 12 years older than me, like, you need to go and say something. We getting embarrassed out here. But but I stayed there until I got it done. So I appreciate that lesson. You don't leave until you get it done. And learning it is one thing, but keeping it to myself was unacceptable. And my village said, no, no, baby, you got to go and do this and do it right now. My daughter, youngest daughter, Dorcas, who has a son who's going to be 2 in a few days, he likes to come over and play with me, do whatever. And he's shocked when I can just immediately go into a different dimension. and the expression, because my village allowed me to participate. I was in plays, I sang in the choir, I was in the band, I was ready to do whatever was needed at the time, and became not afraid of doing it. And the courage and the love that was given. I had an uncle who would come and on Sundays and set me on his lap so I could just tell him about my week. Now, what did I have to say? Probably nothing at all. But he would allow me to talk. He gave me the courage to say that, to believe in me, and say how smart I was. Dorris, that was Uncle DeWitt. He would do it, and he just kept on doing it, And another thing about my village, that grandfather of mine, because I played in the band and sang in the choir, he would come to the assemblies, but he didn't want to just know that I was up there. I would have to tell him what row, what seat I was in, so that he could make sure that his dim eyes could see me and my performance. God bless his soul. but it was all good, to have a strong mother, a mother who was directed. My mom was smart. She was talented. She could look at the garment that I'm wearing today and go home and sew it tonight. I mean, she was amazing. She could. She was a beautician. She was just good. She was talented, and she left every ounce of what she had. She tried to put it in all of us so that we could be successful in life. Go into a world where she would not be. And Mama would often say, she said, I have 10 children. I'm child number 5. And Mama would say, I don't know where you all are going to go and end up, but I know I can't be there with you. And she would say that when she would be doing kind things for other people. And she said, I need you all, somebody to be kind to you, because I won't be there. And I have appreciated my mom forward thinking on that, because to move here to Houston, Texas, it was just my husband and I and our 4 children. And there were people who took note of me, they took note of who I was when I had no idea who they were, because of they took note of what my village had taught me. If those folk who had not taught me whatever they were teaching me, I would not have known what to do. Mr. Meeks, I had no idea who he was, no idea. I got a letter in my mailbox saying that I had been nominated and had received the honor of being an up-and-coming young person for that young award after I'd been here about a year. And all I know is that I have always tried to do the best that I could. And if I had decided that I was going to engage in something, I was going to give it my best. And I had learned how to do that because of the work with my mom, how to become successful, how to do what you needed to do to make it happen. And that foundation was laid right there in Lexington, Mississippi. So Dr. King was killed, and America was in a roar. With that being said, the good white people and the folk of the country who were powerful, they decided they had to do something because the Negro was quite upset. And so in Mississippi, if a student was halfway smart, wanted to go beyond a BS degree, the state of Mississippi would pay for that individual to go to college up north. My principal, J.J. McLean, happened to have been one of those individuals. And so what the University of Illinois did, where he had gone to, called on their former students to ask if they could find some students to send up there to help integrate the Big Ten schools. And my principal was from the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. So I was a senior in high school, and they hurriedly put together a bus trip for the seniors. And we was like a whirlwind. So we went to the University of Illinois to take a look, and 13 of us from my county went to the University of Illinois to get our BS degrees. And I never had any doubt as to why I was there. I know we were offered that opportunity because they killed King, and they were trying to put a different light, a different spin on who they were as a nation, just as we're doing right now. I think, it's been 50 years, Lord, and we're dealing with the same issues. We're dealing with the same issues. And because of all of that my mom's work and dealing with the civil rights movement as a teenager, I was so hopeful. I was so hopeful, totally hopeful that things would change. And then when I got there, I was trying my best to work hard and get out of there, because I know why I had gone to the University of Illinois. I had gone to get my degree, get out of there and make an impact. And I did it in 3 years because I was just focused. And my mom didn't even know that I had graduated until one of her friends had seen my graduation information in our hometown newspaper. And I remember being asked by my advisor what was my hometown newspaper. I didn't know why. I'm the first person in my family to go to college. And so anyway, Miss Benson told her that I had graduated from school. She was congratulating my mom. And at that time, we didn't have a telephone. It was by letter. So it was I just knew what I had to do. And so I did what I had to do and got that out of the way, and then just tried to keep living. While in college, I found the love of my life before I entered college. When I finished high school, a friend of mine, Gwen, and I had been friends since we were 3rd grade. And we had decided that as soon as we finished high school, we were going to get on the train and go north. And so I have lots of uncles and aunts up north. So first I went to Chicago because I wanted to go to Chicago. And Uncle John, he wanted to show me Chicago. Chicago is too big to learn in 1 week or whatever. So, but Uncle John would take me on those rides and tell me about Chicago. And when I was a kid, I had been instructed that you read the street signs, you know where you are, and you trust the police, if you get lost and whatever. And I'm trying my best, so I go and I look in the newspaper, I apply for jobs, and I went downtown. My aunt was going crazy because I'm taking the bus on State Street and go downtown to Chicago. But I did it, and I said, I gotta manage this thing. And so I was 17 years old. But Chicago was killing my lungs. I did not know about pollution. I couldn't breathe. I didn't know why I couldn't breathe. I had not enough science to understand what was happening to me. And I said, Mama, I'm having a good time up here, but I think I need to leave because I can't breathe. And so I went home just before the 4th of July, and my brother-in-law came home, and he let me go to Ohio with him to he and my sister's home. And so I had 2 sisters there, the twins, and I had a brother who lived there. And so I went to Lima, Ohio, and that's where I met my husband. So I came to college, he went to the military, then he came down to college when he got finished, and we got married, and we had these 4 children. But I want to back up a little bit. When I finished that darn degree, I had bought myself my best little blue suit, my little shoes, my stocking. I'm ready to go out for the interview. So every day I'm going out for interviews. And I lived in an apartment, and there were other girls who had finished their degrees too. And so lo and behold, one day, I came back and I said, I got the job. And she said, you got the job? I said, yeah. And I'm all excited. She hadn't got a job. She told me I got my job because of affirmative action. I said, oh my Lord, we haven't grown at all as a nation. You know, she and her family had affirmative action since they came to this country and took it from the Indians. But as soon as a Negro gets a job, it's affirmative action. And it hurt my feelings. I've never forgotten that. It hurt my feelings that she would think of that. And then the Bakke case came that where it was upheld that if a Negro got any advantages, it's a problem. And there's still a problem today. So regardless of how you try to be the best that you can be, and how you may excel in difficult circumstances, people don't think that you're good enough, and that's a problem with this country. So you're overlooked, you're underpaid, you're not appreciated because of your color, and people not thinking that you are astute enough to do any job, to make a contribution to society. But you see, I was raised to have a purpose. And regardless of what folks say, the purpose continues. Some people talk about the dream, but the purpose is there. I have a purpose, and I still have a purpose. I'm excited about this phase of my life because I'm directed with the purpose for achievement, for success. And I think that's what you have to be. And you have to be prepared to know that those naysayers, those people who don't think that you should or you could, will come and dance on your possible parade. You got to keep going. You got to know there's another parade out there that you can be a part of because you have ideas. The brain is the first computer. Let it work. Just let that baby work. And when she rips and roars, there's nothing to stop it. And so that's why I can be excited about life even in the midst of all of the tough times. And to start the newspaper was to tell the stories of the people without fear nor favor. And that is what our motto is at the Houston Sun. Tell that story without fear nor favor. And sometimes, people don't like you too much. They don't like you too much. They won't send you an advertising. They want you to sell it for a nickel, and it's costing a quarter. It's amazing. But because you have an understanding of who you are and why you are here doing what you do, it should never be a problem. And with your faith in God, He'll take care of it. He will make your enemies your footstool. I believe that because I think I've seen that a time or two. But you just got to lean on Him and keep going. Just keep going. He doesn't want you to stop. Even though you're facing the cross, He doesn't want you to stop. Because He'll even take care of you on the cross. Just keep going. Just keep going. And to be here in Houston, it has been a wonderful journey. It really has. Because I've been guided to do what I need to do. And always, what the King said, do it for the people. Doing it for the people. And the people will respond. And you can do so much. I mean, I've done so much, I don't even remember it. But people will remind me because it meant something to them. Because I was doing it for the people and not for myself. And therefore, they remember what was done, not what I may or may not remember. Because for me, it could have been just a passing, easy thing to do. But for them, it held much more significance. And with it holding significance for them, that's what it should be. Because it served a need that satisfied something that was needed in their lives. And I was just capable of doing it. And when I was a little girl in Sunday school, we would talk about being a tool. And I realized, I told a lady from over at U of H one time, we were talking about doing some things. And I said, we're just tools. I made a mistake. Sister girl let me know she was not a tool. I said, well, I'm just a tool to get this done because I know how to do it. It's not a big deal. And I know that I am a tool to use for the occasion and for the building that is needed at that time. You don't need the same tools for everything you're going to build. So whatever you're going to use, you use that tool, then you move on to the next structure. You may need a different one, and you use whatever tools that's required for that. Um, and and when you do it, if you're doing it without expecting that it's something that you need to be remembered for or whatever. I mean, that's a confluence of a whole lot of things going on. But I had a gentleman who worked with me at the paper when we first got started, Lawton K. Jackson. He would say his daddy would tell him, when you cast your bread out on the water, it'll come back to you. Everybody says that. But he would say his daddy told him that if you cast your bread out on the water, it will come back to you in sandwiches. So taking Lawton's father's position, I think I've eaten a few sandwiches. and you never know when the sandwich is going to come. They're just going to feed you. And Jesus didn't worry about where he was going to eat. He didn't worry about where he was going to sleep. But he was always invited in, or he would say, "I'm going to sleep at your house tonight." So I'm all good, you know. I've had many invitations to sleep at one's homes and participate with them, and it's been good. It's been a good ride. I would say my greatest accomplishment, what I've always wanted it to be, have been to be a good wife. I think I halfway did that. To be a good mother. Because I would tell people, regardless of what I did out here in the world, outside of my four walls and that door, if I didn't get it right for them, I hadn't done a darn thing. Because my first responsibility is to my family. I had to learn to honor my husband, let him be the boss, and sometimes I didn't want him to be the boss. To learn to step back and to work as a team. And the way we were able to build the Houston Sun is because we worked as a team. We worked as a team. He died in 2012, and I'm still messing up with the darn post office because that was part of his job. And we were really good at it. I'm amazed how good we were. We wrote our job descriptions. I did what my job description said I was going to do. He did what his job description said he was going to do, and he did it, and I did it, and it worked, and we worked our tails off, but we worked together as a unit, and that has been difficult to overcome, and then with the loss of my son who was there, and that was tough. Didn't mean to have to bury a child, but God is still good. But I think my kids are doing okay. And as I age, they gave me a wonderful birthday party, and my oldest child, Sarat, when he was about 2 years old, when I was in college working my little jobs, I had bought my birthstone ring. That boy loved the ring. He would go and play with my ring, and so one day I go to get my ring to put it on. It wasn't there. And I don't know and I told him, I said, "Boy, when you get grown, you're going to buy me this ring." So for my birthday, my 3 living children got together and bought me that ring. But it's my children, and the greatest thing right now are those grandchildren. They are awesome, smart as they can be. Awesome. It's amazing. All of them, every one of them. And I have 7 grandchildren. I have 6 grandsons and 1 granddaughter. So I've been blessed. I got a basketball team, a sub, and a cheerleader. And I'm not saying that the girl is the cheerleader. Yes, she can play too. But yeah, it's a good life right now. It's a good life.